This episode of Tech News Day is sponsored by Stitch Fix and by Manscaped.
One of the many anxiety-inducing subplots of the past few years has been robotics and artificial intelligence and all the ways that the military and police might use them to kill people. For 20 years, the U.S. military has been killing people from the other side of the world with unmanned drones that are so high up that you can't even see them from the ground, which is very unsettling, especially considering how much collateral damage, aka innocent dead bystanders, have resulted. And many have naturally wondered when they were going to decide that artificial intelligence has gotten good enough that they can just hand over full control to the machines. And despite most countries insisting that such a thing, and they'd never let it happen, turns out we may actually already be living in the age of autonomous killer robots.
Rewatch the beginning of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Back in March, the United Nations Security Council released a report about the Libyan civil war, and it apparently took nearly 2 months for anyone to really notice a specific milestone that the report contained. Here's a section describing a March 2020 battle between the official Libyan government's forces and a rival faction called the Haftar Armed Forces, or HAF. Logistics convoys and retreating HAF were subsequently hunted down and remotely engaged by the unmanned combat aerial vehicles, or the lethal autonomous weapon systems, such as the STM Kargu-2 and other loitering munitions. The lethal autonomous weapon systems were programmed to attack targets without requiring data connectivity between the operator and the munition. In effect, a true fire, forget, and find capability. That sounds...
Yeah.
That sounds bad. Unsettling.
That doesn't sound good.
No.
But yeah, in other words, they sent autonomous robots over to the enemy side of the battlefield, which then engaged and are heavily implied to have killed enemies without any human instructions other than just go over there and kill.
Yeah.
So just what was this Kargu-2 exactly? Well, so they weren't Boston Dynamics dogs with guns attached, though that's coming.
Yeah.
They're basically little quadcopter drones with bombs attached to them. Tiny unmanned kamikazes. And manufacturer STM even uses the word kamikaze to describe the Kargu-2 in its marketing material.
This is like if FPS Russia became the head of all military operations.
Hey, I started a real Russian weapons company.
And wouldn't it be cool if we put 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola filled with gasoline on a drone?
And speaking of STM's marketing for the Kargu-2, here's a promotional video for the Kargu-2 showing it in action against some mannequins. Have a look.
Well, okay, yeah, here's some further details on the Kargu-2 from a Forbes article a year ago when the Turkish military first got their hands on them. The Kargu-2, produced by Turkish company STM, is a 15-pound multicopter with a top speed of about 90 miles per hour and an endurance of half an hour. In standard mode, it is controlled directly by an operator from up to 6 miles away. When a target is spotted, the drone locks onto it and dives in, destroying it with an explosive charge. The concept is similar to the Switchblade loitering munition used by U.S. Special Forces, although the Kargu-2 has a much bigger warhead. Kargu-2's 3-pound warhead comes in 3 varieties: an explosive/fragmentation version for personnel and light vehicles, a thermobaric version to destroy buildings and bunkers, and a shaped charge for heavy armor. Unlike Switchblade, which is strictly one use only, the Kargu-2 can return safely to the operator for reuse if no target is found. The drone features LiDAR, daylight camera, and infrared imaging. While it can be controlled directly, it is highly autonomous, able to fly a route and use deep learning algorithms to locate, track, and identify targets without human assistance. STM CEO Murat Ekinci told the newspaper Hurriyet that Kargu has facial recognition, suggesting it can seek out specific individuals. Jeez, that's worked really well here in the United States so far, so I'm sure this is flawless. It is described as being engineered for anti-terror and asymmetric warfare scenarios. It sounds a lot like the fictional Slaughterbots.
And yeah, if you're not familiar with Slaughterbots, it's this really great little short film from 2017 that was made by a group of AI researchers who are strongly opposed to autonomous weapons. It shows there's like a slick tech keynote for some fictional little kamikaze drones that they'll headshot the bad guys super effectively. guys, this is going to stop all crime. But then, yeah, the video immediately flashes forward to just a horrific Black Mirror-esque future where this technology has, of course, become a huge everyday threat that's just constantly being used for all sorts of crimes and assassinations. There's a scene that's basically the kamikaze drone version of a school shooting. It's fucking terrifying.
That's immediately where my brain went when talking about this at all. It's just like, I'm not going to even get into who the good guys are. There's the good guys, bad guys thing has not been, it hasn't existed.
Mostly bad guys.
Yeah, we're all bad guys.
Different shades of bad guys.
But what I'm saying is, like, people getting their hands on this, this is just unsettling and horrific for the future in any aspect that you look at it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's really not that far of a stretch to think that this technology that's being used on battlefields in Libya will eventually fall into the wrong hands and or become so cheap and easy to make that it does become a threat similar to what's shown in this fictional short film. Like, they're like marketing it as like, oh, we'll use this to stop terrorists. I'm like, okay, but what happens when the terrorists get it?
Also, what terrorists to what people? Like, to which country are these the terrorists, and what do you consider a terrorist? The marketing material is pretty, I'm sure, vague on, well, you know, you point it at what you perceive as the bad person or bad people. And
ISIS, etc.
They think that we're the terrorists. And that goes across different countries and different aspects on things. But that's what I'm saying is just like, you already had the drone stuff where you're taking the human element and all of that, you're separating it from the destruction that it's causing. And this is even further than that. You don't have to worry about it. You just type in, diddly-doo, who are we mad at this decade?
It was probably around here on the GPS map. Go over there and just...
And if there's a hospital or a wedding, yeah. I mean...
Yeah,
it's all bad.
I don't like this.
No.
I don't like this one bit.
We need to get vaccine drones instead.
Here's a bunch of people's faces who haven't gotten vaxxed.
Yeah.
Go find them.
And if it accidentally hits a wedding, everyone gets double vaxxed.
Yeah, you're double vaxxed.
Yeah.
Now you're glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
what I'm saying is there's bad implications.
Oh, I mean, and that's been the case with the entire arms race going back like hundreds of years. Like,
yeah.
But especially now. With
what if these muskets got into the wrong hands?
Yeah. So that sucks. But moving on now to our next story, which also sucks, and is also about why humans can't be trusted to make the right decisions about technology and how that literally leads to people dying. Remember that Texas ice storm from a few months back, which resulted in most of Texas's electrical power grid shutting down because they just utterly failed to plan for such a weather event? Well, you had some of the coldest Texas weather that they've ever experienced there. They were completely unprepared. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, people didn't have electricity or even running water in a lot of cases. It's a recipe for disaster. And at the time,
homes were destroyed because of pipes freezing.
Yeah.
All that.
And yeah, at the time, we talked about how like the actual death toll was probably going to take a little while to really nail down, and that the official numbers were probably severely underreported. And it turns out that was likely, very unfortunately, totally correct.
Yeah, BuzzFeed News published a long article about their research into this, and their estimation is that despite the official death toll being 151 people, get fucking real. Are you kidding me? With this whole thing? Yes, surprise, it was actually much higher. From the article, our analysis, reviewed by 3 independent experts, suggests that between 426 and 978 more people than expected died in Texas in the week ending February 20th alone. Our best estimate is that 702 people were killed by the storm that week. Even the lowest end of the range is almost 3 times the number officials have acknowledged. Neighboring states that were hit hard by the winter storm but did not experience the widespread power outages seen in Texas did not show a spike in deaths. So, seems pretty clear that the infrastructure there was the problem.
That's commie talk. You want us to connect our grid with the rest of these United States? No, we need a single point of failure for our system so that if one bad thing happens, it just causes a bunch of other bad things to happen, and you just have societal collapse with a little bit of white stuff falling out of the sky.
Yeah, or as the governor of Texas said, it was all the Mexicans coming over the border with backpacks full of ice cubes.
That's right. But yeah, so BuzzFeed's analysis, it's based on Texas's excess mortality during the storm. So in other words, how many more people died during that time than would be expected through statistical analysis. And they factored in COVID for that as well. And it turns out the official death count, the official death count only really includes people who like literally froze to death.
Icicles coming out of their nose.
Yeah, and not people who technically died as an indirect result of the storm. Their first example, they have many examples, but their first one is a guy whose dialysis appointment was canceled due to the power outage, so he spent the day inside his below freezing home and then died the next day from what was officially ruled cardiovascular disease. And yeah, like this guy and a lot of the other people talked about in this article, old people with health problems, lots of health problems. But the point is that what likely killed this guy that day was the extreme cold and the lack of dialysis treatment.
Yeah.
And not cardiovascular failure.
It's the same thing that happened with states that were underreporting COVID deaths because it was just like, well, I mean, he was obese and had, but it's like, yeah, but he got COVID and it just ruined his lungs and his system. And yes, would he have died of a heart disease at some point?
Yeah.
Or was it rushed because of a COVID diagnosis?
You can take that logic to crazy extremes and just underreport literally any sort of... You can underreport like murders because it's like, well, he wouldn't have died of that gunshot if he didn't have anemia.
Yeah.
Like, so he died of anemia because he wasn't able to clot.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's like the police officer that died of the Capitol riots, where it's like he literally died of a stroke the next day.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, could this guy have died of a stroke on any other day?
He was destined to die of a stroke.
Sure.
Right then, no.
But it really seems like the heightened circumstances of the day prior could have led to his body reacting that way.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And this excess mortality stuff, like with COVID, like we're not going to get we're never going to get the real like numbers, but it will become clearer probably in the next few years. And it's going to be a lot higher than the official number is today, especially worldwide. Saw something about India when it was at like the peak of its just COVID chaos a few weeks back. Like the excess mortality in a couple of states in India was just like 10 times higher than what the official COVID deaths were.
They would have the official count, and then there would be like mortuaries and graves where they're just like literally in front of your eyes. There are more people, more bodies.
Well, they were obese, so
what are you gonna do?
That's what killed them.
Now, a lot of the uncounted deaths were officially classified as due to cardiovascular disease, but the report quotes an epidemiologist who says, quote, "We have a huge body of epidemiologic literature that shows cold temperatures are associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, hospitalizations, and mortality." The article then says, 2 studies of hospitalizations in New York City, for example, have shown that admissions to hospitals with cardiovascular disease surge after winter storms, especially when the power goes out. Some deaths attributed to underlying cardiovascular disease may have actually been caused by hypothermia. Quote, "Hypothermia is notoriously difficult to diagnose," said Hannah Jarvis, assistant medical examiner at the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. "Unless core body temperature is recorded while a patient is still alive," she said, "it is very hard to confirm that as the cause of death."
That makes sense.
What's the leading cause of death in America? Heart disease?
Cardiac arrest.
That's what they died of.
Well, his heart stopped beating. Must have been something with that.
It certainly couldn't have been any like stress-induced, temperature-induced, shock-induced, like anything that could have led to that.
I mean, like, and this isn't just this isn't just us being warm weather boys talking. Like,
it's very hot out here.
If you're in like sub-freezing temperatures for long periods of time and you don't have the shelter and protection for it, it can be very stressful on your body.
Yeah.
Like you don't even realize.
We're not all from Winterpeg.
Yeah. I don't see the big deal. I'm wearing shorts. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, on top of all that, the power and water outages in Texas severely strained the hospitals and emergency services. Ambulances, of course, had a ton of trouble on the icy roads. It was just a total shit show from top to bottom. And
driver error. They might have hit some black ice, but the driver should have been more aware of the surroundings.
But the huge difference in deaths between Texas and then the parts of the neighboring states that also got hit just as badly by the storm seems to have been the power outages. Anyway, the article also raises a bigger question about how death counts for just all natural disasters are probably being undercounted due to the short-sighted methodology for determining cause of death.
Oh, you drowned in a flood? Well, we should have learned how to swim.
Yeah.
Definitely not the storm's fault.
They list Hurricane Maria, the one in Puerto Rico a couple years back, as another example. That one was later found to have caused 3,000 more deaths than originally thought once they really started analyzing the data. So, getting accurate numbers for these disasters, very important, because otherwise it's very easy for those in power to just brush things off as not that bad. It's like, oh, whatever, Texas is a big state, 100-something people.
Also, it's incredible data to learn from.
Yeah.
Because you can then, hopefully, aim to prevent this type of thing.
Yeah, and you learn about how how dangerous it is to
not have power.
To not have power during an ice storm, because it's not just literally people freezing to death and turning into icicles. It causes a cascading effect with all sorts of other unrelated health problems.
It's like the guy, what's his name? Jack in The Shining. Underlying condition.
Yeah. Cardiovascular disease.
Brought on by psychosis.
But I mean, this is fucked up. It's horrible. But I'm glad they figured this out, because like you kept seeing and hearing about shit in Texas. It's like, this is bad. Yeah, this is going to be very bad.
But then again, you're relying heavily on the people in power to take this actual data seriously, and not just use the data that they want to cherry pick to govern the way that they want to govern.
Yeah.
Which is, look, I'm not going to put too many eggs in that basket.
Especially not in Texas.
No. Now, moving on to another story about how not properly preparing for the worst can have serious consequences. It's happened again, folks. Less than a month after a ransomware attack shut down a major fuel pipeline on the East Coast, a new ransomware attack has brought the world's largest beef and pork supplier to its knees. JBS, who sells 23% of America's beef and pork, had their computer network attacked last week, resulting in a shutdown of all of its U.S. beef plants, along with further disruptions in Australia and Canada. Luckily for JBS, it seems like their backup system was solid, but it still took 3 days to bring their systems back online, which is probably pretty expensive for a company of this size.
It's a lot of business.
It's that damn Beyond Meat hacking our systems.
It's the vegans.
Yes. The vegans have done it again.
Yeah, vegan hackers. Now, as for who did this, the FBI is saying that it was a Russian ransomware group called Re-Evil or Revil.
Resident Evil.
Very
big
edgy. Yeah.
Mommy milkers.
Yeah, it was that big lady.
Big mommy milk, not vegan.
Not vegan at all. Last month's Colonial Pipeline hack, that was also believed to have originated in Russia. And according to some experts, these groups basically operate with impunity in Russia as long as they only hit foreign targets.
Yeah.
Which is actually very easy for them to do, because they set up their malware to detect whether or not the target systems primarily use the Russian alphabet. It's kind of brilliant. Like, if you detect Russian letters, back away slowly. If you detect the Roman alphabet, fucking get them. But there's not really, when you have malware groups in another country that is kind of harboring them, there's really not much anyone can do about this kind of thing. And at this rate, you can probably expect a lot more big industrial companies to just keep learning tough lessons in cybersecurity for the foreseeable future. I mean, right before we filmed this, Fujifilm announced that they were in the midst of their own ransomware attack.
That's what they get for going digital.
Yeah. Should have gone down with the ship like Kodak.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll never go digital.
No, didn't Kodak try to launch a cryptocurrency recently too?
That was a couple years back. Kodak now is, the last thing I heard was Trump had used like the Defense Production Act to convert Kodak's facilities to like chemical plants for pharmaceuticals.
All right, great.
Which is like, thank you. We were looking for something to do.
Back to the hacking shit. I'm currently, I keep taking breaks because it puts me in a real sour mood. But I'm currently reading a book called This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends, and it's all about this. It's all about how literally cyber warfare will be the final world war, and goes into a lot of the cyber attacks that have already happened, and it'll make you paranoid.
I mean, a title like that.
Yes.
Already, my blood pressure's up.
It's really good. It's just like, the whole time you're reading it, we're just like, we're all fucked. Yeah. So, anyways.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah. At your local library. Support your local library.
Ever since I found out early on in the pandemic that you can check out library books on your phone, my life has changed. I just go out in my hammock. I don't even have a fucking Kindle. I read that shit on my phone.
That's the problem with this book and a lot of like books that I would actually be interested in, is just it's all very upsetting.
Yeah.
So I find it hard to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a bad mood now.
Why would I subject myself to this?
Yeah. But to do it for this show all the time
summertime,
anyway. Yeah. It's hot boy summer. So I'm going to learn about global warming.
Sad boy summer.
Yeah. Anyways, we got more news coming up for you. But first, a quick word from this week's sponsor, starting with Stitch Fix. As we just said, it is hot boy summer. It's time to go back outside. But your closet, it's saying no way. No, you've stocked me full of stay-at-home stuff.
You're going out dressed like this?
Yeah, but you're going to need to get some much-needed style updates. And good news, Stitch Fix is here to help. Stitch Fix offers clothing hand-selected by expert stylists for your unique size, style, and budget. Every piece is chosen for your fit and your life, and it is the easy solution to finding what makes you look and feel your best. Try on pieces at home before you buy, keep your favorites, and send back the rest. Stitch Fix has free shipping, easy returns and exchanges, and a prepaid return envelope is included.
There's no subscription required. Try Stitch Fix once or set up automatic deliveries. You'll pay just a $20 styling fee for each box, which gets credited towards pieces you keep, and there are no hidden fees ever. Stitch Fix has styles and clothing to fit any occasion for women, men, and kids. They ship all over the US and the UK as well. Get started today at stitchfix.com/newsday and you'll get 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. That is stitchfix.com/newsday for 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. stitchfix.com/newsday.
This episode is also sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped has the right tools to get the job done quickly, safely, and hygienically. Now, Father's Day is right around the corner, and you probably need a gift for your big, hairy dad. You've seen it on accident when you were a kid, you know? Walk into the wrong room at the wrong time. Dad, you need the lawnmower.
What?
That's how your mom likes it. Make your dad proud this year and get him and yourself. Get a dual package for you and your dad. Get the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. They've done it again. And the Ultra Smooth package. You know what they say, like father, like son. What is this copy? Why are they making us read this? The brand new Lawnmower 4.0, they've done it again, and the Ultra Smooth package is perfect for you and the dad in your life, real dad or daddy, to complete your grooming game. Get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/daddy /TechNewsDay.
Yeah, /TechNewsDay. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming, and their brand new shaving tools just dropped right in time for Father's Day. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is now available in the USA and Canada. What makes this waterproof trimmer different from all the other trimmers, you ask? This 7,000 RPM trimmer features skin-safe technology to keep your balls in check and has helped reduce manscaping accidents around the world. There's a new multi-function on-off switch that can engage a travel lock, created for jet setters. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn on the 4,000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave, and there's additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4 to let you trim to your liking.
If you want to get the complete package, the Manscaped Ultra Smooth package is a 3-step kit to help you keep your family jewels protected. Step 1, crop exfoliator, infused with ingredients that can soothe, clear, and keep the skin on and around your groin feeling refreshed, reducing the risk of ingrown hairs by your delicates. Step 2, crop gel. See where you're shaving with a unique clear shaving gel just for the groin. Step 3, it's time to shave. The crop shaver was designed for shaving the groin area with confidence. 3, precision blades include extra wide lubricating strips and a pivoting head for the ultimate groin grooming experience. All 3 of these vegan, cruelty-free, and sulfate-free products are included so you know your manhood is in good hands.
Stop imagining that your dad has it covered, because he probably doesn't.
No.
Get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/TechNewsDay. This is the perfect package for you and your dad's perfect package. Get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/TechNewsDay. That is 20% off with free shipping by going to manscaped.com/TechNewsDay. It's dad bod season. Time to get smooth.
Side note, I'm going to wait a beat so we're out of the advertising. Side note, have you heard the Charmin Pride ad yet?
No.
We love all bears.
Oh, no.
It's a real ad. Because they have the Charmin bears, and they're like, this is not just about animal bears anymore. We support big, hairy, gay men.
You're a toilet paper company. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
This Pride shit's gotten out of control. You got fucking like Raytheon doing Pride ads. Like, fucking come on.
I hope the next missile's rainbow colored.
Yeah, it's, man.
Anyways, back into the news now with a COVID-19 update. And look, the trend is continuing. The U.S. is doing fucking great.
I can't believe it.
Look, we're as shocked as you are,
Yeah.
but I'm going to take a win when I can take a win.
It's a rare dub.
Yeah, no cap. New cases are at levels that we haven't seen since March of 2020, which is the beginning of the pandemic here in America. Hospitalizations and deaths are the lowest that they've been since the beginning. Vaccination numbers, they're not as good as they should be, but 52% of the U.S. population over 18 years old is fully vaccinated, with another 11% having received at least 1 dose. Things are looking good, but as we've previously discussed, this is still nowhere near what is needed for true herd immunity. where the virus has had such a hard time finding new hosts that it just dies off. And what's really holding herd immunity back is how badly a lot of the rest of the world is doing without vaccines. But here in the U.S., so far, so good.
America's back.
The American exceptionalism is back.
Yeah, the cool thing, America, it's manifest destiny. God wanted us to get out of this, so we bought up all the vaccines so no one else could have any.
Yeah.
That was God said to do that.
Yeah, God's plan.
Anyway, a big reason that the U.S. itself might never hit herd immunity levels, despite the wide availability of vaccines at this point, is of course due to anti-vaxxers of all stripes, from the ones that think the vaccine has 5G Bill Gates microchips in them, to the people who just simply can't be bothered. A lot of states have basically created cash lotteries out of their vaccination drives. You can get a gun. You can win a gun in West Virginia, I think.
Sure.
And these contests, they all seem to be working somewhat, the data would suggest. But there still seems to be a huge chunk of this country that simply will not get vaccinated no matter what.
Now, remember a few weeks ago when the CDC changed their mask guidance and said that vaccinated people were free to stop wearing masks in most settings? Now, the key word there was vaccinated, and the CDC's motive behind the announcement was to encourage vaccination.
Look at all these cool things you can do once you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do those things?
Zap. But many people correctly predicted that this would just be seen as a free pass for everyone, regardless of vaccination status, to stop wearing masks. And now we have the data to prove that the CDC's changes to mask guidance basically did nothing for increased vaccination.
Yeah, so some new polling from the Kaiser Family Foundation, where they found that the vast majority, 85% of unvaccinated people that they polled, said the updated CDC guidelines had no effect on their COVID-19 vaccination plans. Only 10% said they were now more likely to get vaccinated. And a tiny amount of people even said they were now less likely to get the vaccine. And additionally, nearly half the people that they asked said that the new CDC guidelines were confusing and hard to follow. The CDC has really done a bang-up job over last year, proving time and time again why effective science communication is extremely important.
They need PR and social media and marketing people more than anything. Give them the budget for that. Clear, concise instructions.
It's a valid
with context.
Yeah, no. One of my old friends, that's literally his job. He's a science communicator.
Well, he needs to be fired.
Well, he doesn't work for the CDC. He works for I don't know who he works for, but he's a science communicator. Yeah. It's like basically your job is
dumbing down,
is explaining the shit your bosses are doing to normies.
Yeah,
because scientists are notoriously bad at conveying information in a way non-science people can properly understand.
It is funny. California's obviously been getting back to normal. The 15th, I think, is their day. But today, I went into Home Depot, get some stuff. But there was a sign that was like, masks, whatever. Literally in the smallest print possible, it said, unless you're vaccinated, in which phrase you can go. Like, they are hiding the fact that you could, if you wanted to, take your mask off. I still think, at least in California, that it would feel awkward in a place like that doing it, because people would just be like, oh, he's an anti-masker or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it now. A lot of it is basically like TSA-style security theater in a lot of ways, and it's like, I do understand after seeing the sort of half measures. Like, I go to a bar, but I have to put on a mask to get up out of my seat to go to the bathroom. I see stuff like that, and I realize that in a lot of states, that's the only level of sort of protection they ever had. So I'm like, oh yeah. If they never fully embraced social distancing masking,
at all,
and this was all they had, I would think it was fucking bullshit. Because this isn't really doing jack shit.
I will say, even in a restaurant or a bar, going forward, I'll have the mask on me to use anytime I go to the bathroom. Disgusting.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a guy that was doing the worst ways that this virus can spread. Apparently, one of the worst ways that this and every other cold virus spreads are those fucking hand dryers. The hand dryers. He just held a strip under it for 5 seconds, and it was apparently worse than a toilet seat, worse than a cell phone. And it's and it gets the whole room.
Yeah.
I am going to be mask on in any bathroom from here on out. Not only does it block the stench, but it's apparently will block hopefully other things in the air too. Yeah.
Anyways, on top of anti-vaxxers, there's actually a much more distinctly American reason why some people aren't getting vaccinated. They're so used to healthcare in this country being absurdly expensive that they simply refuse to believe that they are not going to end up getting a surprise medical bill after getting the vax.
Yeah?
This comes from another poll from the Kaiser Family Foundation. They found that 32% of unvaccinated adults were worried that they might have to pay an out-of-pocket cost to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
And according to reporting from the New York Times, one reason for this confusion is probably that early on in the pandemic, despite the government mandating that COVID testing be free, a small amount of people did end up getting bogus medical bills. And the same thing has happened in a few cases with the vaccine, which again, the government has mandated be absolutely free. But our healthcare system is such fucking trash that, some underpaid staffer presses the wrong button on their shitty old computer and you get billed for something you're not supposed to get billed for. Then you're on the phone for like a week trying to get it undone. Or you just resign, you're like, fine, I'll fucking pay it.
To set the stage for anyone not watching from the US, any time you think you have to do anything medically related, your mind instantly goes, well, base level, I'm gonna be paying a couple $100s for this.
Yeah.
Like even if I have to see a doctor or whatever, so I fully believe that people think that scheduling a vaccine, even at a CVS or something like that is like, well, I mean, this is at least gonna cost me what, $50 or $100?
Yeah.
Like you can't, nothing's free.
I got fucking the most I had like an ear infection, so I went to like urgent care and got a prescription for antibiotic eardrops, and they're like, oh, so we have Walgreens is where we sent your last stuff to. I'm like, yeah, send it to Walgreens. Walgreens calls me up like an hour later. They're like, hey, we don't cover your insurance. I'm like, you sure? Because you definitely have in the past. They're like, nope. I go on my insurance website. Walgreens is listed there as one of their carriers. I'm like, fine. So I have to call up Rite Aid and tell Rite Aid to call Walgreens and transfer the prescription over there. It was a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
If I had gone through Walgreens and not paid through insurance, this little tiny vial of eardrops would have cost like $800.
Yeah, it's insane.
It was fucking bonkers. And even with the insurance, it was like $50, which like sucks.
And to clarify, as I do every other time, when I say anything free, like the vaccines being free, I mean paid for with our tax dollars.
Yeah.
We're not saying free, saying paid for with the tax dollars that we pay into the system.
Yeah. You earned this vaccine.
Yes.
Come on.
Would you rather pay fucking $800 a month for medical insurance or have it taken out in taxes, even if it's the same amount, but people are like, no.
Yeah.
And by the way, if everyone in the country did it and got taxed for it, it would be cheaper. But still, the fact that it's a tax has people hung up.
The Congressional Budget Office has like multiple times over the last like 20 years like ran the numbers and they're like, oh yeah, no, doing a nationalized healthcare system where people pay into it with their taxes and then don't have to like, it would save like billions and billions of dollars.
The cost of administration and paperwork.
Yep.
The amount of money they wasted on Elliot calling because they didn't go to the right place and had to go file with his insurance and stuff.
There are thousands of fucking schmucks in this country whose job is just to like look up whether or not like they cover your thing.
Yeah.
Which is
it's frustrating.
If we didn't have the system, there would be no need for the person to check whether to screw you or not.
Anyways,
it's horrible.
Yeah, if you live in this country and have had to deal with our dog shit healthcare system, you've almost certainly dealt with unexpected charges on something that you weren't fully covered on for your insurance. It's always a nice surprise.
Yeah.
You may also have experienced your insurance company fucking up and then telling you after the fact the treatment you got wasn't actually covered, even though it definitely was, and then had to spend hours on the phone getting it sorted out. So yeah, despite vaccination being loudly advertised as totally free, it is understandable why some people, particularly poor people, would still be skeptical of that. And there's a part in the New York Times article about this where they're talking to a woman worried about this and they tell her that federal law makes the vaccine free and she responds, so I'll just have to pay my copay. And that's exactly what I meant by what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Like you immediately think, okay, if I have to go to the doctor for something, if I needed stitches, it's like bare minimum, copay, couple $100.
Yeah. Well, you won't have to pay anything once you hit your deductible of $15,000. So you got any, organs you need taken out?
As long as you hurt yourself so severely every year that it costs more than $15,000, you're technically winning.
Yeah.
Just get in a couple car accidents.
You're not living your
microwave your ball sack. Get that cancer going to really take advantage of our system.
It's just so fucking sad. They're like, no, it's literally free. He's like, okay, so what's my copay?
What's the
is
catch?
From that same New York Times article. Surprise bills for coronavirus vaccines, tests, and other medical care can leave an impression on patients. Americans with medical debt are more likely to skip needed care than people who hold other types of debt, like outstanding credit card bills or student loans, according to a 2013 study by Lucy Kulisova, an assistant professor of sociology at the University of California, Riverside. Quote, for someone who has incurred medical debt, they may be told by the media and everyone else that the vaccine is cost-free, but they've also had this very negative prior encounter with the medical system that has created feelings of mistrust, she said. Some patients who worried about the cost of a coronavirus vaccine said they always expect a bill to follow a doctor's appointment. They cited stories from friends or family members who ended up with expensive coronavirus testing and treatment bills and wondered why the vaccine would be any different. Quote, "This is America. Your healthcare is not free," said Elizabeth Drummond, a 42-year-old mother in Oregon who is unvaccinated. I just feel like that is how the vaccination process is going to go. They're going to try to capitalize on it.
And the biggest thing that I want to point out is something that ever since this whole socialized healthcare argument has been made throughout my lifetime, the biggest thing that I always point to is like, yes, one of the biggest problems is the fact that people will ignore simple health problems and allow them to exacerbate to the point where they become serious health problems because they don't or can't afford to go get it treated. So you end up with a lot of people who are putting a bigger strain on the system by having bigger health problems because they waited and didn't get it solved earlier.
I mean, you got like, even when it's not like, you know, long-term health problems, like you get like in food service and shit, like people wait because they don't want to piss off their boss, they don't want to lose pay, and then they get like fucking pneumonia, double pneummonia, and then they have to take like 2 weeks off
and go into severe medical debt.
Yeah, it's just it's a system. It's a broken system.
It's not broken for the people who are profiting off of it.
Yeah, it's actually perfectly designed for a class of people who.
If you think this is broken, no, it's working as intended.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it's TechNewsDay. We're back. America's fucking back. Back to worrying about medical bills. If you haven't watched our previous episode this week,
it's called We're Back.
We're back. Yeah. We talked about. I don't even remember.
A lot of stuff happened while we were gone. No, it wasn't like too terrible while we were gone, but it was, you know, there was stuff that happened. Open for a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check that out, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.